Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Exponentialize Live. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about being susceptible to other people's judgments and points of view. And what some of you might know from your own lives is that, when you're around other people, you tend to get in these situations, I guess, where you feel that you're losing yourself and you're becoming more like the other person. And a big part of what that is about is where you're making yourself susceptible to other people's judgments and points of view. Hello, if you're watching as well, if you've just joined us. We're talking about being susceptible to other people's judgments and points of view. So, how does this work? Well, basically, more often than not, unfortunately, the lowest common denominator wins. So, if you're hanging out with a bunch of people and, someone is functioning from the lowest common denominator, the group tends to head, unfortunately, in that direction. But what you always have choice. But what you want to start to get present with, if you find yourself doing this, but you're not quite sure how it's happening, you want to start to get present with the moment that you choose their reality instead of your reality. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, our reality, when we're choosing what's true for us, tends to have a sense of lightness, a sense of ease, and a sense of space to it. Okay. When you're choosing someone else's reality, it tends to be, well, it can be different. It doesn't mean that it won't be light, and sometimes it will be heavy, but you'll often have the indication, especially when it's more about the lowest common denominator, that it'll have some kind of funkiness to it. Okay. And it won't seem, it doesn't really match like what it is that you desire and what you would like to create. And that's what gives you the awareness of, okay, so this is not really me here. I'm like being somebody else. And that's also the way that reality gets created, is when two or more people align and agree with a point of view. So you have someone who's functioning from lowest common denominator, someone else comes along and, goes, yeah, that sounds about right. Or, says the opposite of like, no, that's not true. Anything like that creates that as a reality, because as soon as you fight for or against anything, you have created it as a reality so that you can fight for or against it. So, what are you fighting for or against that keeps you susceptible to other people's judgments and points of view? Everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. And another thing for X-Men is we tend to spend a lot of time in other people's worlds. And that's because we have a heightened awareness of what's going on for other people. And sometimes we lose our reality in that, because we're actually spending more time perceiving what's going on for others around us than we are being present with ourselves, being present with what we're choosing, and being present with what we would like to create. Okay, so it's like a muscle. It's a muscle that you can build, and don't judge yourself if you find yourself choosing that. Just demand, okay, enough of this. I'm going to choose something different. And yes, it may still show up. And if you get present with it and you keep making different choices, you will have a different outcome eventually. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to do with you guys is a process that came from the foundation manual. I've altered it slightly to fit this, but it's a really great process. It's not actually in the foundation manual anymore, but it was the first process to be run in foundation for quite a long time. And the process is, well, it was, what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about being cognizant and subject to people's points of view and judgments that keeps you from perceiving, being, knowing, and receiving what is true for you. So everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all. right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah, got a little bit of juice on it, that one. So you might want to run that process a few times if you can, record it. I can run it with you again as well. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about that, because what does it mean, to be subject to somebody's points of view? Well, if someone is doing anger, for example, do you diminish yourself in the face of their anger so that they can have their anger? It's like, what if you were being what was actually true for you? What if your joy had so much vibrancy to it, that it filled the space greater than anyone else's point of view or judgment or like limitation? And this is where really, like, energetically our choices for what we be in the world creates. So what is it that you would like to create? And let's run that process again. So what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about the judgments, about being subject to the judgments of others, the judgments and points of view of others, that keeps you being that keeps you from perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving what is actually true for you? And everything that doesn't allow it, times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. I hope this conversation is contributing to you guys. And yeah, we it's basically just, I usually talk to something that is up in the world, and often it's something that has some kind of relevance to my life, because often I find that when I talk to what's going on for me, it also applies to a lot of other people. And this is something that I've just been aware of lately, and I've been noticing more and more. So what if you took a little bit of time and a little bit of space to actually get present in this area? And how much more freedom could you have if you got to be you in every situation, rather than making yourself less to be around others? So yeah, that's it for me for today, and we'll be back next week with the membership Exponentialize Live. And what are we going to be talking about? I had it just before. Cannot remember, but I will remember before the next live. So stay tuned next week, same time, for the membership live. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.